All right, we are back live. Do a little chat test. It is working on my end. We will see if it is working on your end. Otherwise, I will just talk to myself. So we have hit the first weekend of the season with no race, the first actual weekend of the off season, the first off season weekend, of course. So I was wondering what you guys do in the off season. There is the Nitro Rallycross you can race. Watch this weekend. It's got Chase Elliott in it. It's also got Austin will also be racing in that. Put on, of course, by Travis Pastrana. Travis Pastrana, of course, formerly raced in the Xfinity Series in that number 60 for Jack Roush. That was always a good-looking Mustang. Let me know let me know down in the chat what you guys want to talk about. I'm seeing if this chat's working. It wasn't working a minute ago, so I'm super curious. It's working on my end at least. Yeah, there we go. Molten Rage. My gosh, Stuart Haas Racing is in turmoil with either keeping Custer or putting Priest in the 41. All right, it's working now. All right, good. All right, I appreciate it, Tacona. Yeah, so the Stuart Haas Racing deal is an interesting deal. Obviously, Gene Haas obviously wants to keep Cole Custer because he sees the future. He sees that Eric Almirola and Kevin Harvick are going to retire and that they can get Ryan Preece in there basically next year or after next year or whatever. So if they hold off on Ryan Preece 1 year, they get both of them. Whereas Tony Stewart, super competitive. He wants the guy in there now. Apparently, Tony Stewart does not believe in Cole Custer. So that is sort of the power play right now. And I think basically it's going to come down to who has the bigger ownership percentage of the race team. If I had to put my money on it, I'm guessing that Gene Haas owns the vast majority of that race team, or at least enough votes to carry over or whatever. So I'm thinking Cole Custer will stay in that car. Although it's a good story to follow, I just don't feel like, although it's probably a bummer for Cole Custer to have to hear this type of talk, I don't feel like Cole Custer's going anywhere. So I think Cole Custer's safe. And I think Ryan Preece will just have to wait one more season. But that being said, you never know what is going to happen. But like I said, first off season of the year. So I'd be interested to see what you guys are doing for your off season stuff. I know a lot of people do fantasy football. A lot of people watch football. What else is going on? Basketball is going on. Some basketball people out there. So just curious as to how you relax. There's a lot of hunters. I know a lot of people go hunting in the off season, but you can't hunt like all off season. So I just wanted to pop in, do a little quick live chat, see what everybody's doing, what's going on, or just whatever you want to talk about. Just so much to talk about. The international race. I thought that was an interesting comment from Adam Stern. Now, as far as it goes, I would lean toward Canada or Mexico City. However, a lot of you in the comments brought up a good point that we have too many road courses on the schedule as it is. We don't want to turn this into a road course, like half road course, half ovals. So if you go to Canada, my thing with Canada, if you go to Canada, Canada has ovals you can race on. So you could have an international race on an oval. That would be very unique to NASCAR. So I would actually lean toward Canada on that one. But that's just my thoughts on the international race. Robin Mark says, howdy from Kazakhstan. I've been telling people to watch Chastain. Too cool. Busy, but you got going on in the background. Thumbs up. I feel birds and ice skating. Oh, okay. The bird feeding. So some bird watching there, some ice skating. We don't get that really in the South. Although in Arizona, they had an ice skating ring. I saw that on the morning news deal they got going on over there. So that was really cool. Arizona's actually got a ice skating ring, and they're putting up their big Christmas tree down there. I'll be working on like some backlog vlogs in the off season. That's what I'm gonna be working on. So you guys will have plenty of content, NASCAR news and otherwise, on this channel. Gene Haas owns the 41. Tony Stewart doesn't. That's why they lost Suarez, because Gene had more to say so and put Custer in there. Tony couldn't do anything, but seeing Tony having the other argument with Gene is not good. Yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't make for a unified front. But then again, it's Tony Stewart, so I don't think he really holds. I think Tony Stewart speaks his mind, but then he doesn't really hold anything as far as that stuff. I don't see where he would like hold a grudge. So I think they'll be all right. I think they just have a disagreement on this one. And I think Cole Custer will be safe on that one. But that is a very interesting story. Not just that there's a seat up for grabs, seemingly, with a driver in it that they've already confirmed will be back for next season at one point during last season, but then to put it on blast like he's not going to come back this season is interesting. And they're doing it publicly. Like it's a public debate that they're sort of letting people in on. So the whole thing is just very bizarre, very odd. So that'll be something to follow for sure. But if I was a betting man, Cole Custer's going to be in that car, so I wouldn't be fretting on that too much. If you're a Cole Custer fan, if you're a Ryan Preece fan, you're just going to have to wait until next year's over. Then I think Ryan Preece will be in a car, either the 4 or possibly the 10, depending on how Eric Almirola's deal is. I know Eric Almirola said 2 more years, but Eric Almirola also said he wasn't coming back next year. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Eric Almirola did just actually release a vlog on his YouTube channel talking about he's thankful he didn't retire. He's thankful to be back. So that was pretty cool to watch too. Aldis Carroza said, basketball is my love, but man, I wish NASCAR had a longer season. I miss it when the season ran until mid-November. Yeah, they used to have a different length. They had more off weekends, so you could stretch the season out longer. But yeah, it ends basically the first week of November now, so no more mid-November. So this longer off season, but it's more of a grind to the teams because there's no real breaks. I think they get 1 break last year, so and next year they said coming soon might be no breaks, so that'll be interesting to watch. But yeah. Just let me know down in the comments what you want to talk about, because we're just no race to preview today, so we're just hanging out. Let's see. To be fair, I think there's no need for an all-star race or the Clash. No motorsport has an all-star race, but if you want an exhibition race, have it before the Daytona 500 or after the season. And don't forget the Busch Clash too. So I mean, not the Busch Clash, but the 2 duels. Those are basically, even though they're qualifying races, they don't count as wins. So that's an exhibition race too. They could just go off qualifying at Daytona and shorten the season. But I've always been a proponent of the qualifying at Daytona is the best qualifying period, and then they use the heat races for the Clash last year. I think if you want to make qualifying interesting and you want to sell qualifying tickets, have heat races that Saturday, and then you have the Cup race on Sunday. That way, if anybody gets tore up but still makes the race, they've got time to repair the car. So I've always been a proponent of heat races. So I think that's a good idea. But yeah, the All-Star race, everybody has an All-Star game, but racing is different. NASCAR is the only one that has an All-Star race, so that is a unique deal. The All-Star race could be after the season, and the Clash could be before the season. That would be your two exhibition races or whatever. But having the All-Star in the middle of the season is unique to NASCAR as well. So that is definitely a good point. They could rearrange it so it's is a little bit less stressful on the teams. Molten Rage says, in my opinion, the best scenario is Stewart-Haas keeps Custer in the 41. But they put Preece in Xfinity SHR car. That would actually help, Riley Herbst and Haley Deegan, and opens up the 00 again, or they get rid of Herbst. The worst scenario is if they lose both. So yeah, I think if you move Preece down to Xfinity, he will help both of those. He will help Riley Herbst and Haley Deegan in the Xfinity series. Help them be better drivers. So that would actually be the move I would make too. I would definitely keep Ryan Preece. I think he's got potential. I think Cole Custer has potential. I think Cole Custer just had a terrible season. A lot of it was mechanical. A lot of it was pit crew. And then he got into some wrecks as well, which you can either put on the driver or you can say it was situational. Obviously, I can't go back through every incident he was in. But for sure, I would keep both of them, and I would just lay it out to Tony Stewart. But like, look, we're going to have new guys here before too long. Like, let's just keep Custer this year, and then next year we'll slide in Ryan Preece, because the consensus is next year is Kevin Harvick's last year. So Kevin Harvick's done, and then you slide in Ryan Preece or whoever Tony Stewart wants to slide into the 4 car. I think that would be the best move going forward. I just don't, and making it public probably is the biggest deal. If he hadn't made it public, it probably wouldn't be as big a deal. TJ Mooreshed says, not quite a NASCAR comment right here, but got sideswiped in my 2015 Camaro Friday night. Oh, that sucks. I'm not at fault. No one's dissatisfaction can reach the level of mine this weekend. Yeah, that stinks, man. Like, I haven't been sideswiped, but I've had people run into me in the parking lot. And obviously where I live, I've had a ton of deer run out. I most recently killed the Cobalt. So I am in the market for another car. We'll keep I'm going to try to incorporate the car I get into the channel. But yeah, that is a bummer, man. Is the car totaled? Can you save it, or is it just going to be any? Can you fix it, or are you going to have to get a new car? I guess will be my question. But it's a bummer either way because I've lost a lot to deer, and I did get one of my cars destroyed in a parking lot because apparently somebody just couldn't park and caved in the tow link and all that stuff, and the car was old enough that totaled it. So it sucked. Let's see. Rusty Beechwood says heat races was the best thing in the Clash last year. Got to earn it to make the show. They would never do that at Daytona for the 20-lap shootout of old. Yeah, for sure. I just think heat races going forward are the way to go. NASCAR wants to break everything up, and that would just be one way of breaking it up. You wouldn't have to even have stages. You could still have a 500 lap event, and 100 laps of it or 200 laps of it could be heat races. So I think that would be cool. Kelly Combs, what's up? I think that would be cool because that gives stakes not only to qualifying, but it gives real stakes to the stages. You could still give the stage points for the heat wins. They would just be heat race points or whatever. So I think that's just the way they should go going forward, with the exception of road courses. I don't think a heat race would work at a road course. So you just qualify like regular, and you just have no stages or anything like that at a road course. Just let the strategy play out on a road course. That would fix the road courses. And obviously the other thing they need to fix is the package for the short tracks and stuff like that. But that's another topic. But that would fix all the qualifying and stuff like that. I'd love to see them do that. I don't even know if that's on their radar, but hopefully somebody somewhere is thinking about that up there in the NASCAR echelons. Rusty Beechwood, hell, they should even do it at every race. Yeah, I agree with you, Rusty. And sell tickets for qualifying. Yeah, that would be another way of bringing in revenue for something else. Mark Barnum, the Custer 00, Priest to the 41, Deegan to the 98, and Herbst to the 07. You're pretty close there. I think Deegan's going to be in the 07, and I think Herbst is going to be in the 98. And they both might be sponsored by Monster. You might see a double Monster car, except this year it won't be one Toyota, one Ford. They'll both be Fords. Cole Custer to the 00, Priest to the 41. That could go either way. My feeling on it is because Gene Haas, like Moulton said, owns the 41. I feel like Custer is going to stay in the 41, and Ryan Priest would probably be in the 00, and then pull maybe a few truck starts if Ford can find some truck teams. Like he did last year. I feel like people forget that Custer is talented. Just remember he won a ton of races, 2 championships, 4 appearances in Xfinity. And he won an Xfinity race this year. He's talented. He just struggles in Cup. His Cup deal has definitely been a struggle. There's no doubt about it. Mickey Logano, what's going on? Philip Kenevan, what's up, buddy? Yeah, he hasn't been the greatest in Cup, but let's not act like he's been terrible in Cup either. He won a Cup race. That's nothing to sneeze at, and he won it in a great way. He restarted everybody. Like he went there, didn't have the best car, and he took that win from him at Texas. So Cole Custer has potential. Cole Custer has talent. He just has to put it together. And like I said, if you watch Cole Custer's season, there was a lot of it that was pit crew. There was a lot of it that was mechanical. Like all of Stewart Haas. All of Stewart Haas had some mechanical issues last year, but Cole Custer's pit crew was terrible last year. There's no way around that. Haley Deegan's pit crew was terrible last year. There was no way around that. For the first half of the season, Bubba Wallace's pit crew was terrible, and then when Christopher Bell got those members from Bubba Wallace's pit crew, Christopher Bell's pit crew was terrible. There's no way around it. Christopher Bell's pit crew had one good race, but they basically cost him the championship. So pit crews are important, and I think if you look at Cole Custer's season with the pit crew that hamstrung him, you could basically look at any other driver that's had a bad pit crew. And Cole Custer's results are not that bad if you look at it in that context. Not to take up for Cole Custer, but I think he's got talent. And I think if they put him in a good situation, he would have a lot better finishes. I'm not saying he's going to be Kevin Harvick or anybody like that. I'm just saying he's got potential to be better than the results he's gotten here recently. But yeah, that's I mean, what more can you say about Cole Custer there? So bad situation. Hate that they're doing it publicly, but yeah, it is what it is. I thought I was watching my pre-race preview from last year, and surprisingly enough, I did say Penske was going to have a great year, and Penske did have a good year. And Joey Logano, there he is right there. Joey Logano won the championship. So I actually preseason the two are like basically this time last year, I said Penske would probably win the championship, and dang on if I wasn't actually right for once. So I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, dang, like I actually got that right. I should say something about how I actually got something right last year at the way too early predictions for the season. So that's interesting. Let's see here. Aldous says this should be the qualifying format at all tracks except Daytona and Dega. It's a la F1 and IndyCar rounds. Round one, all cars, 20 minutes. Round two, top 25. Final round, top 10. Well, they tried that, Alice. It did a version of that, not exactly that version. I think for stock cars, it's actually going to be better to have a heat race, much like they do in dirt racing. So they did try a format similar to that with the knockout qualifying. It didn't really take off with stock cars because basically they don't know what they're doing. They didn't know what they were doing. There was that one race where everybody waited too long and nobody even made the final round, and so they had to go off around 2 times. So maybe if you instituted it long enough, they would get better at it and it would be better. But for this, I don't think it's going to be all that great. I think for the way stock cars are set up, I think it would be better off with heat racing, whatever you want to call it. So Custer has talent, undeniable, but he can get better too. Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. He made some mistakes too. He put the thing in the wall himself too. Deserves to be here. SHR is becoming Roush 20 years ago. That is actually a really good point, Rusty Beechwood. We all still think about SHR as being up here. For about 3 or 4 years now, SHR has been on a pretty steep decline. Like if it wasn't for Kevin Harvick basically putting that organization on his shoulders and lifting them, Stewart-Haas Racing would be awful. Look at all the other drivers. Briscoe has a win, a couple of wins maybe, and then Cole Custer has that one win, and Eric Almirola had the win. I was listening to Eric Almirola talk at Phoenix, and he said he called it the biggest win of his career when he won in New Hampshire, so because it got him into the playoffs and all that good stuff. So Eric Almirola has 2 or 3 wins. I can't remember if he's got 2 Talladegas with Stewart-Haas or just one. But if you look at the steady decline of Stewart-Haas Racing, where they had Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick winning multiple races per season, and of course the Kevin Harvick, what did he win? 9 wins, that 9-win season. So after the 9-win season, you've seen Stewart-Haas not be what they were. So for about three years, Stewart-Haas, they haven't fallen off of a cliff, but they've slightly just stepped it down one notch. And you've seen RCR and Petty GMS Racing do the opposite, right? You've seen them go slightly up. They're still mid-tier teams, but they've slightly raised their bar. They're a higher mid-tier team, whereas Stewart-Haas Racing was an elite team, and they're starting to creep toward a upper-level mid-tier team right now. And there's a lot of speculation as to why that is. Uncle Boone says, Mr. Berger, at least I have sprint cars down under to nurse me through the darkness. There you go, man. Flow TV has all that for the most part. So yeah, but Australia, they have some good, and so does New Zealand. They have some good dirt racing over there. So check them out. And I can't remember. It might be Wisconsin or somebody does ice racing. If you're into rally racing, you can watch some rally racing. That's on today, actually. Even Nitro Rallycross, that's on today. So from Phoenix, Chase Elliott and Austin Cindric are racing in it. So that'll, if you want to watch that, it's on the Peacock. Round 3, top 10, run 10 minutes. And they tried that. They tried something very similar to that. And there was that one race that ended it basically, or that one qualifying session that ended it for them, when everybody tried to wait for the last minute to get the best lap because the track was cooling down, and then they ran out of time and nobody ran the 3rd session. So that's actually what killed what they call Euro qualifying. But it is a F1 style qualifying. That's what actually hurt that, Aldous. Mickey Logano too. I personally think Custer should go to the Justin Allgaier route and be an Xfinity lifer. Says Mickey Logano too. The only issue with that is he's already won the championship in there. I don't know that he has anything else to prove. Whereas like Justin Allgaier, Elliott Sadler, guys like that, they were down there trying to win a title until recently. AJ Allmendinger, they went down there to try to win a title. Cole Custer's already won a title. So I don't know. I mean, he would be the man in Xfinity. Don't get me wrong. He would be the absolute man in Xfinity, especially next year. So I don't know that that's going to help him. A lot of people are like, he needs to move down to Xfinity and get some more experience. I don't know if that's really going to help him moving down to Xfinity because he's already won the title there. He's already won a ton of races down there. So I think he just needs to stick it out in Cup, and they need to be patient with him. They need to give him a really, first off, and I'll just say this, they need to give him a good pit crew because his pit crew was trash. And I hate saying that about a pit crew, but they just were off their game. They need to get some repetitions in the off season because I sat there and watched it at Martinsville. Guy had the third fastest car. The race that William Byron won, the first race, guy had the third fastest car. They messed up his pit stop, and he never could recover from it because it was almost impossible to pass cars there that race. So I've watched him have good runs, and they end up being 20th place finishes. And then, of course, you get in the mid-20s. People drive like crazy back there, and there's a better chance you get in wrecks. So it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. I feel like the pit crew was a big deal there. TJ Moorshed said, drove the car home, but all three right fenders are junk. All the right side fenders are junk. Mirrors hanging on by a thread. Oh, that's the worst. Pretty sure insurance is going to consider it totaled. Sorry, just got to vent sometimes. Oh, it's all good, man. Like, that stinks. We've all, or not all of us, most of us have been in that situation where we have a car that is beloved. And every time it seems like the way that car goes out is something terrible happens to it, and you got to say goodbye to that car, and it stinks. I hate it, but I know exactly where you've been, and I know exactly how you feel. I had a Mustang that I hit a deer with it. It completely destroyed the roof, the front of the car. It stinks. I know where you're coming from. Alda says the playoffs are stupid and bad. Chase is the 2022 Cup champion. Well, Joey Logano's, I agree with you. The playoffs are stupid and bad, but they all had the same rules at the beginning of the season. Joey Logano, he had the best strategy for that particular point system. So Joey Logano is the champion, but Chase Elliott had the best season. I have no problem saying that. Chase Elliott had the best season, but Joey Logano was the champion. They all had the same rules at the beginning of the year. Get that F1 qualifying stuff out of here. So Rusty Beechwood doesn't want to see the F1 stuff. It was terrible to watch. Heat races are NASCAR roots. Yeah, for stock cars, I think a heat race works better. Obviously, you've got so much money in F1. That is why, they do the Euro qualifying or three-stage qualifying, which works for F1. A team that is going to struggle next year is Gibbs, says Mark Barnum. That's a good point. I think you're onto something there, Mark Barnum. Another team that you've seen sort of starting to slide a little bit, and they're still elite, but they're getting to be the third best elite team behind Hendrick and Penske, and that is Joe Gibbs Racing. And that's got to be particularly concerning for Toyota, because not only did you just get rid of your best driver, but the actual performance of the cars has been going down for a while as well. So if you're Toyota, you've got to be concerned because you've got all your eggs as Toyota, the brand, all your eggs are in the Joe Gibbs basket. So if Joe Gibbs gets off, it will be much like that year that Chevrolet was off because Hendrick Motorsports got off 2018 or whenever 2017, 2018, 2019 when Hendrick Motorsports was off. It would be very similar to that. So if Joe Gibbs Racing gets off, it's going to be bad. It's going to be a bad year for Toyota. And they have sort of been going down that path. Alda says, okay, I'm with you with the heat races, but just don't award points. That's fine. Your points are you get a good qualifying position since it's not an actual race. And, of course, get rid of the stages. This ain't basketball. This is motorsports. It's ruined the strategy. 100% agree with you to get rid of the stages. If you do keep the stages, just stop throwing the yellow flag for the end of a stage. That would actually add to the strategy. So if you are dead set on keeping stages, at least don't throw the yellow flag for it. Dave the Stalker says, we have snow on the ground in southwestern lower Michigan. There you go. I don't even know if we'll get snow this year, but it'll be interesting to see in the South at least. But ice racing, ice fishing up north, I could get into some of that. And as we went over earlier, they put the little spikes on the tires, so I'd be all about that. I think they do ice racing in Norway too. I'm not 100% sure. At least one of the Scandinavian countries has ice racing as well. I also think Molten Rage says, also think the reason Custer has struggled is Mike Shiplett is just a terrible crew chief. He's made some dumbass calls this season for the 41 team, like some dumb calls like the Roval. Yeah, I mean, you can always, the crew chief always gets thrown under the bus. The thing I always counter with that is who are you going to replace him with? So you got to find somebody to replace him with that's going to be better than him. So there you go. David Stalker says only 12 likes. Yeah, so if you are so inclined, feel free to hit that like button. I would appreciate it. It means a lot to the channel, and it helps us out, and I do appreciate it. TJ Mooreshed said Jeff Gordon lost 3 championships in the Chase era, and he's not contemplating walking from the sport like Tony Stewart has recently. Stewart should be taken down a notch, in my personal opinion. Yeah, TJ, so Tony Stewart is not known for being rational or taking his time before he opens his mouth. So you can, but the good thing about Tony Stewart is you can sit down and talk to, or at least from what I've seen, I don't have not like I know the dude, but it seems like you can sit down and talk to him and have a conversation with him and reason with him and change his mind. But he is definitely one of those guys that just says the first thing that pops to his mind, much like Clint Boyer. But you can also sit down and talk to both of them and give a different perspective, and sometimes they'll come around. I think if somebody actually sat down with Tony Stewart and had that conversation with him, and added that perspective to it, he would come around. I think he just has a sour taste in his mouth since the Kevin Harvick nine-win season, and Harvick didn't make the Final Four. He's had a sour taste in his mouth since that particular incident. He's been anti-playoffs, which I can't say anything. I'm anti-playoffs too. I just prefer season-long points. But if you like the playoffs, don't worry about what I say. You've made your points for why you like the playoffs. You like the manufactured drama or whatever. TV wants it because I guess they think it's better for TV ratings, although the numbers have proved that wrong. What do you think of having a cup race at Portland? Honestly, I'm kind of split on it, to be fair, because it may cause trouble entering turn 1. How about having a cup race at the Milwaukee Mile? Of those 2 options, I would rather see it at the Milwaukee Mile. I think that would be a better race. I would like to see the Pacific Northwest get a race because they've got great fans up there. I don't know if the Portland course is the perfect track for that. I think Milwaukee Mile would put on a better race though of those 2 options. But I do think the Pacific Northwest needs a race up there somewhere. So hopefully they get one, and hopefully it's on a circle track. Molten Ray says, TJ, you can't really blame Stewart because he's let's be honest, it looks like NASCAR is just targeting his team with penalties all the time. Can't really blame him for threatening to walk. Yeah, that's the other thing from Stewart's perspective. The other guys have done similar things to what Stewart-Haas has done, but Stewart-Haas was the one that got caught, and Stewart-Haas was the one that got dinged for it multiple times this season. So it is what it is. Sean, the gamer in 30. Sean Miner, the gamer, 30. Sorry about that. I am a huge fan. Buffalo Bills are my second favorite team, by the way. So go Bills. Bills Mafia. I'm a 49ers fan first, but I do like the Bills secondly. I am a huge fan of your channel. Happy Sunday. I think Haley Deegan will go to the Xfinity Series full-time in 2023. I'm trying to figure out where Natalie Decker will go to. So Natalie Decker, that's an interesting one. She seems to have pretty good funding behind her. She's pretty well connected. She seems to enjoy Trans Am racing, but obviously we know she still wants to race circle track. I would like to see Natalie Decker get in a truck, even if it's mid-tier, and just run a full season and get some more laps under her belt. The biggest deal with Natalie Decker in circle track racing is sort of the same thing that Cole Custer had this year. You can't win the race if you don't finish the race. So I would like to see Natalie Decker do nothing more than just go out there and figure out how to get to the end of races. And when she gets to where she can get to the end of races, then you start working on the speed. Holly Golden, what is the reason for being Bologna Burger? Good question, Holly Golden. So around here, like if you go to LA to watch a baseball game, you get Dodger dogs. If you go to Martinsville's got the famous red hot dogs. Well, where I grew up, the short tracks I grew up at, their famous food of choice was the Bologna Burger, and that's South Boston, Ace Speedway, and Orange County. They all had their take on the Bologna Burger. I actually have a video on it. I will try to post. I don't know. I guess I'll try to repost it in the mentions or something like that. But anyway, that's where the name came from. So growing up, you went to a track, and that's where the Bologna Burger came from, because it was sort of like it was just sort of the thing you did. Like people go to the state fair and get the fried whatever that they've got going on that year. It's just one of those foods that the way it was prepared there was the only way you were going to get it there. So that's where the Bologna Burger name came from. And I never thought it would take off. I didn't know I would be getting referred to as Bologna Burger. I might have picked a different name if I'd known that, but I kind of like it now, and it's kind of funny and kind of cool to me. So we just roll with it. But that's where the name came from. It is the food of choice at those three short tracks, and possibly another one that I don't know of. But those are definitely the three. And it's a fried bologna sandwich with different toppings depending on the track. I like basically if I'm getting mine at the track, I get mustard and onions on mine. Ace Speedways is chili, mustard, and onions. My onions are grilled. The Ace Speedway one I think are not grilled. And then South Boston is cheese, peppers, and onions, and it's all grilled. So those are the options at those different tracks, if I'm remembering correctly. I wonder how do you make super speedway racing now similar to the 2000s SS racing? Because ever since Gen 6 era, due to pack racing, a wreck always happens, and super speedway racing a joke, says Aldous. Most notably, what was the Austin Dillon race? Was Austin Dillon Talladega or Daytona? It's slipping my mind right now, but basically over half the field was crashed out that race, and they still had a crash on the last lap. So yeah, you just can't have a wreck fest, and some of that you have to put on the way the guys are driving the car. I'm not going to sit there and put the whole thing on the package. So part of it is how aggressively they drive, even knowing that the cars were not safe. They drove way over their heads. And part of it is the cars can't create separation because of that big daggum spoiler they got on the back of it. But novice, regular fans seem to like that. People that only watch 2 or 3 races a year, those are the races they watch now. Now they're tuning in to Talladega, Daytona for both of those races. And now that Atlanta has gotten that reconfigure, they're tuning into Atlanta because they want to see that type of racing as fans. So it's a tough spot for NASCAR to be in, but I'm with you. I'd rather see some tandem racing where they can actually tandem. I was a fan of that tandem racing because then you have one partner you work with and you two guys figure it out. If you see go-karts on a big enough track, champ karts at a big enough track, it's very similar to what they do. So there is a actual short track skill set for that if you race go-karts or champ karts. Mark Kukowski says Cole Custer is better suited for Xfinity than Cup. I don't disagree with you there, but I think he can get better at Cup. So I wouldn't bail on him quite yet. But if he doesn't show any improvement next year, I would bail on him after next year. Toyota now only cares about 2311. Denny is double dipping and 1 foot out the door, says Rusty Beechwood. I don't necessarily agree with that, but what Denny Hamlin has going for him is what Tony Stewart had going for him when he first started Stewart-Haas, where he still had a foot sort of in the Hendrick camp, but he also could hire the best of the best that were remaining. So when you have a foot in both of those camps, I don't think Toyota is actually favoring one. I think Toyota wants them both to run really good. I think Denny Hamlin is getting all the best ideas because he still talks to all the people over there at Joe Gibbs Racing, and he can go and hire the best people. Like he just got Tyler Reddick because he races with him on the track. I'll just use that as a non-Toyota example. He got a racer that he knows in his mind is going to be a stud going forward. And I would agree with his assessment there. I was super bummed to lose him, but I'm as a Richard Childress Racing fan. But glad we did pick up Kyle Busch, so that took the sting away a little bit. But he can get the best available talent, not only driver wise, but he can look throughout that garage and be like, hey, you want to come work for me? So he's getting the best people. And he's also getting the knowledge that he is able to glean from the Joe Gibbs Racing organization. So I think Denny Hamlin is double dipping on the knowledge. I don't think it's anything that Toyota is really doing on purpose. And of course, the other factor is Michael Jordan has, let's just call it like it is. Michael Jordan has more money probably than Joe Gibbs, so he is able to invest a little bit more strongly than probably Joe Gibbs can. So there's a lot of things at play there. You can out money somebody by just paying more money to their employee and getting them to come over there and work for you. Rusty Beechwood goes on to say, if I was Gibbs, I would have fired Denny that week. He was on the track messing with his car. Bubba was driving. His head is elsewhere. Yeah, that's another deal. That's a tough spot to be in for everybody, for Denny and for Joe Gibbs. You gotta wonder where his head's at there for sure. No doubt about it. Moulton says, I think we have a flat tire. Back, feel it out. Mike, how would you know that when you can't even see the car? You're screwed. Custer out of the top. Oh yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, that was total. It was race manipulation. They shouldn't have been dinged for it because every team does it. But where it was stupid was he said it over the microphone. That's what got him. So it sort of is what it is there. But every team does it. They shouldn't have got penalized for that unless NASCAR is going to penalize every team for race manipulation. Then you have to define what race manipulation is. Then you go down a slippery slope of NASCAR making judgment calls on why a driver did this and that and the other thing. Yeah, that was a miss. They should have never penalized them for it. Tony Stewart is as smart as they come. As a racer, team owner, racetrack owner, I think Smoke just doesn't like this chain, his chain being pulled. I agree with you, Mark Wachowski, and that's actually what I was just saying there. Like the things that Stewart Haas got dinged for this year were violations. Don't get me wrong, but we've seen other teams flagrantly do what Stewart Haas Racing has done and hasn't gotten penalized for it. So from Tony Stewart's perspective, you can see where he's a little ill. His butt's a little chapped. So it is what it is. Natalie, well, most likely still gets rides because of money, even though she's a terrible driver, in Moulton's opinion, who can't do anything unless a bunch of wrecks happen or at the super speedway, says Moulton. She's actually where I would disagree with you there. She has some Trans Am wins, so she is good on a road course. Her oval track stuff needs some work. I will agree with you there, Moulton. But I'm not gonna sit there and throw her under the bus like that. She's got potential. Does she have the potential to be, the next Tony Stewart? No, absolutely not. But she has potential to be a solid race car driver, and she's chasing her dream. So, there's no need. I'm not a let's not crap on drivers. I'm not a crap on drivers type of guy. I don't care how good or bad you are. If you're following your dream, you're living your best life. So don't worry about people saying you can't drive and all that good stuff. Mark Bukowski goes, Natalie Decker is best suited for ARCA. That would be a good series if she could do a full season of ARCA. Get her. I think she just needs to get her confidence up and figure out how to finish races. Racing's a big confidence game. Aldis says Evergreen Speedway in Washington State. Cup should start racing there since it's in Northwest. It's a short track. That should be renovated like Nashville and North Wilkesboro. So there you go. Mark Barnum says Decker is suited to be a cam model for MFC. So there you go. She's polarizing, and she doesn't hide from the fact that she's big on social media. But I'm not going to get on here and hate on Natalie Decker or any other race car driver. They're following their dream, and they should follow it until they can't follow it anymore, because you don't ever want to go home and be like, when you're, like 80 years old or whatever, you don't want to be like, man, I should have done this or that. I should have kept racing. You don't want to be in that situation because you can't get time back. Name is genius for the web these days. It's got shtick, says Rusty Beechwood. Molten Rage says Daytona. I missed that one, Molten. I got you. That's where Austin did, where they all wrecked out for the plate racing stuff. Gotcha. Messing with a car. That was messing with Bubba, the car Denny owns. Yeah. I followed you, Rusty. I knew what you were talking about there. TJ Morshed says, how do you think NASCAR will reconfigure Texas? They should make it a short track. The best track they've got in Texas is sitting right behind Texas Speedway, that dirt track. We work with a guy, John Armendia. He's from Texas. The Texas dirt track right behind that track would be the best dirt race for NASCAR. But that being said, if I had to guess, they're probably going to reconfigure it like Atlanta and make it a super speedway, which is going to suck. But they should make it a short track, just like they're doing in California. And NASCAR should just fix the short track package. But that's the way I lean. And obviously my bias is I like short track racing, late model guy. So it is what it is. That was the 2015 Firecracker 400 at Daytona where Austin Dillon crashed. Says Aldis, yeah, where the floorboard got ripped up and all that good stuff. I was talking about the race he won this year to get into the playoffs. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Daytona or Talladega, but I think it was Daytona. I think Moulton said it was Daytona as well. I'm going to be honest, I may be biased, but I actually like super speedway racing, and I do love Daytona. I like super speedway racing too. I just don't want, like, 8 to 10 super speedway races. That makes it not special anymore. It was really cool when it was just Talladega and Daytona, because that's why you go to Talladega and Daytona. Well, maybe not Talladega, but that's why you go to Daytona. Like, it is, those were the only 4 races. So you got 2 opportunities at those 2 tracks. Those were the only 2 tracks where you saw that type of racing. Now, if they do Atlanta, and now, well, they've already done Atlanta. Now they've done Atlanta. Now, if you do Texas, like, okay, we've gone from 4 races to 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you've got 8 races like that. So it's overkill. I'm tired of NASCAR. Every time thing goes right, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do it like this all the time now. Like, no, stop, don't do that. Leave those tracks and let them be unique, and figure out something unique for these other tracks. So it is what it is. And the 1.5s have had good racing this season, so I don't necessarily know that you need to reconfigure Texas, because they've figured out that package. Now what they should focus on, instead of reconfiguring Texas, is how about you focus on fixing the short track package, and not reconfiguring short tracks. So it is what it is, but I don't know. I'm using common sense, and NASCAR doesn't use that a lot of times because it's too big of an organization to use common sense, to be fair to them. How do you think NASCAR will? I just read that one. Sorry. Philip Canavan says, don't forget about Dale Sr. Yeah, for sure. That's why we got the safety we've got now. Here's how I would do the super speedway package. X-pipe it. This is Aldis, by the way. X-pipe it, restrictor plate, no tapered spacer, down to 550, 6-inch spoiler, Gen 4 size quarter panel, and the front of the car raised 2.5 inches. Raising the car could get sort of tricky, because you don't want too much air going up underneath of it going that fast. You start to get in a situation there where if somebody wrecks, the car flips up like this. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen a car flip up nose first in NASCAR just yet, but I have seen it in some supercar racing. When you got a car sealed off and you get air up underneath of it, you get that parachute effect sometimes. That would be my only concern with the 2.5 inches. You would have to configure something underneath the body so it wouldn't do that. Rusty Beechwood says, Rockingham forever, bring back the Rock. The Rock should be pretty close to being brought back. I would like to see them get a truck race and an Xfinity race and see how those do. From my understanding, they fixed the traffic. Rockingham traffic used to be almost as bad as North Wilkesboro traffic, but from my understanding, they fixed that now, allegedly. So if they've got that fixed, I would like to see them get some Xfinity and some truck racing next year. And then if that goes well, possibly think about doing a cup race there. But before I see Rockingham get another cup race, I would like to see some areas that don't get NASCAR racing also get a cup race. Because I don't think that it is super fair for North Carolina to have like 4 or 5 or 6 races on the NASCAR schedule without those other areas having a chance to get a race as well. As much as I like North Wilkesboro, and as much as I like Rockingham, I have to be fair to the rest of the country at the expense of my convenience. Would be my thoughts there. And I would love to have a Rockingham and Wilkesboro race. I just want other parts of the country to get their races as well, because I know they're just as passionate as we are. Moulton Reed says Thor Sports Racing still hasn't been penalized for basically, good point, Moulton. Thor Sport obviously did the exact same thing, even more blatantly than Stewart Haas Racing. They got no penalty for it. And that is the frustrating thing about NASCAR. They are so inconsistent. Mark Wachowski says, if NASCAR raced the same track weekly, what track would you pick for Rockingham? Oh, for me, it would be Rockingham, says Mark. If they raced the same, so if it was like a weekly series, like late models do, well, obviously for me, South Boston, because it's convenient. What racetrack could I watch? Probably Bristol. I could watch a race at Bristol every day, and I don't think it would ever get old, just because it's always going to be high stakes there. And obviously, they would have to fix the short track package. And I'm not talking about Bristol dirt. I'm talking about Bristol. And old Bristol before they ruined it with all the crap they did to it. Bristol would be probably my first pick. Martinsville, if they fix the package, would be up there. Darlington would be another one I would throw in that mix. And then I guess if you like road courses, I feel like the best road course race, if I was going to watch one every week and had to attend it, Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen, from what everybody's told me, is the best fan experience. So if you're going to throw a road course in there that you had, and I know everybody hates road courses, I get it. I'm just trying to throw multiple tracks. I've thrown in the 1.5 in Darlington. I've thrown in the short tracks. And super speedway, just pick a super speedway. It would all be the same at that point. Daytona or no Talladega, because it would be a better fan experience. So that would be my specific track if I had to watch a specific type of track every single race. North Wilkesboro would have to be in that mix for the short track ones too, no doubt about it. But they really need to renovate that place, and hopefully the money is well spent on that one. Two Penny Puppet said, "I got my cookbooks out." Lord, oh man, we gonna do some cooking in the off season. I like it. I like it. I did the thing where we made bread when the everything going on now situation, the shutdowns or whatever, when they shut down. I got on the bread train. I learned how to make a bunch of breads, and that was really good. I didn't realize how good bread could be when you don't buy it from a store. So that was really cool. Well, I did know, but I never knew how I could actually make good bread, is actually what I should say, and how many different breads there are out there. That was also eye opening. But I do like cooking when I get time. TJ Mooreshed, I think the Atlanta Super Speedway will slowly fade away as the track gets older and bumpier. That's a good point. I think we already saw the Busch Series cars breaking away from each other there in July for sure. So that's a good point. As tracks age, that'll be another thing to watch. So that is a very fair point. I didn't think about when I was giving my original response. So it'll be fun to see how these tracks age. Much like Michigan, when Michigan gets some age to it, you see the cars get on these good breakaways. And typically, the older Michigan gets, the better Austin Dillon. Like ironically, everybody talks junk about Austin Dillon. Michigan's one of the best tracks for Austin Dillon. He's actually really good at Michigan when it's old and wore out. Hey, what's going on? Checking in from Maryland. Love your channel. The B-Man 1582. I like the old dancing bear and the profile pic there. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for watching the channel. Rusty Beechwood agreed. 2 super speedways keeps it special, but do dig the new Atlanta configuration. More mile tracks like the Rock and scatter in historic small tracks around the country. Yeah, I think about a mile. 1 mile long track is probably the best racing you'll see for the most part. But with this new package, the 1.5s have raced. They've been really racy, so I can't say anything about the 1.5s. The new package has actually really helped them. Sad that NASCAR owns Iowa Speedway and not at least running Xfinity or trucks there. That's a good point, Mark Barnum. Of all the tracks, other than Eldora, because all the dirt guys love Eldora and they want to see a cup race at Eldora. Of all the tracks that get talked about on this channel, Iowa, without a doubt, Iowa is the one that gets brought up the most. And I've never been there, but I do remember watching races there on TV back in the day. That is a good racetrack, and I do wish they would bring it back. And I think it could be a huge draw, especially when you've got the influx of people coming into Iowa, much like the influx of people. And I don't want to get political, but there is a state where a lot of people are leaving that state because of high taxes and stuff like that. And they're going to places like Iowa, North Carolina, and Florida. And I don't want to talk about it any further than that. But with the influx of people to Iowa, if they open that track up, I don't think they would have a problem filling it up. So it is what it is. And that's all I'll say about that one. Yeah, I would love to see Iowa on the channel, on the TV screen and on the schedule, I should say. Mark Wachowski, I never understood why folks don't like road courses. They are the biggest test drivers, equipment, and teams. I don't know. I like road courses, so I can't answer you as to why people don't like road courses. I can tell you I used to hate road courses, but that was before there's a video game called Forza Motorsport. When Forza Motorsport came out and I started driving road courses virtually on a video game, I gained a new appreciation for them. And because I was doing that, I could understand sort of the struggles, because I did race. They had Watkins Glen and Sears Point back then. It was called Sears Point on that video game. And I could see why the drivers struggled in certain, like I don't know, you could just figure out what made them so special. And once I got that appreciation for them, I've absolutely loved road courses. And like you said, it's a test of equipment and everything else, strategy before they had the stages and stuff like that. So I just gained a better appreciation for it. But I think road courses are always going to be sort of like an absolutely, you're a diehard race car fan if you go out there and watch a road course, especially if you go out there and watch a road course live, because you're only going to get one corner most of the time, and then you're looking at a TV screen if you're lucky. From that perspective, maybe visiting the track is less fun unless it's Charlotte, where you can see the whole road course from there, Roval or whatever. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you why people don't like road courses. I couldn't tell you why I didn't like them when I was a kid, other than I think all the adults around me talking crap about, oh, NASCAR's racing a road course, I ain't watching this week. Then, of course, every Sunday we would sit there and watch it. That's another thing that's funny to me. Like, I hate NASCAR. I'm never watching it again. Every Sunday, sitting there watching it with those same people. So the I hate NASCAR, I'm never watching it has been going on since at least the 90s. So just pick your reason. Indy cars do a doubleheader there. Yeah. So at least it is being used. Charlie Tuna says trimmed up the beard. Speaking of trimming, now I got no excuse to get out of lawn work. Yeah, I think the grass here has been cut for the final time. It's finally starting to get cold over here. But you seem like you live in a nice, much warmer area, so I agree 100%. Get out there and mow that grass, keep that lawn looking good, man. Here's my thing with road courses. They're a good thing. I like them, but there's too many of them. Now, I'm going to agree with you there. Too many of them on the schedule. It's a bit too much of a good thing, honestly, if you look at the schedule. I agree with you there, Moulton. I think if you kept it around 4 to 6, you don't need any more than 6, and I think 4 would actually be the perfect number, because we needed 2 more. Watkins Glen and Sonoma were good, but you did need 2 more. But after that, and the Roval, so you actually only needed 1 more. So, and they could have kept Road America. So if those were just the only ones you had, that would make it good. But now they're trying to go too far down the F1. Someone said in my comments it's F1 envy. I don't know if I've gotten a chance to answer that one yet, but that is part of it. I think they're looking at F1 too hard. So that's part of it. Sven, is NASCAR going to keep up with their political agenda? It's getting harder to breathe. So yeah, that's a fair point. A lot of people feel like NASCAR is favoring one side of the aisle compared to the other. And I don't really get into politics on this channel because I just want to keep it like straight sports. But you do see that comment a lot, and you actually see it from both sides, funny enough. There's one side that never watches NASCAR, and they're like, oh, NASCAR is a certain way. It's backwards, whatever. Then there's another side that watches NASCAR, and they're like, I don't understand why they keep leaning this way politically. So it's a weird dynamic for sure. But you do see both sides complain about it. So it is interesting in that. And that's all I'll say about it, because I don't want to delve into that. We'll stick to racing. Let's see. Road courses are just hard to visually see. Racing on a road course, it's hard enough on an oval. Watkins Glen and Sonoma are in a relative circle with a long straightaway, which makes them more apt. Yeah, that's a fair point, Rusty. I agree with you 100%. Appealing to view the race in action. I do agree with you on that one. It has to be for NASCAR, because NASCAR fans are used to a certain experience. For NASCAR fans, where you don't have to worry about this with other forms of motorsport, because they grew up with a different feel of watching a race. NASCAR fans have this feel where we need to see the whole track, and if you can't see the whole track, a lot of NASCAR fans feel like it's a waste of time. Dave the Stalker, appreciate it, man. I like the little fox emoji there. Big Fox fan. Red Fox as well. Let's see. Don McLeese says IndyCar drivers say the Barber Road Course in Alabama is their favorite. I wonder, is that the one that Curtis Turner built and then abandoned, and then they redid it? I can't remember. Curtis Turner had a really cool, or it might have been Fireball Roberts. There was a NASCAR driver that built one. I think it was in Alabama, and then it maybe got repurposed. But they say he built the perfect road course, but then he passed away in a wreck or something. It might have been Fireball Roberts. Passed away in a wreck, and that was the end of that one. And somebody, I think, has bought it. That might be it. But I have heard about the one in Alabama, and they also like the one. There's a Corvette testing one in Kentucky that they a road course in Kentucky that they like as well. Rusty Beechwood, Watkins Glen, and Sonoma are staples. Then two more. 4 is a good number, 4 or 5. I'm right there with you, Rusty, because you don't want. It's the same idea with super speedways. Now that you've got Atlanta, I'm okay with Atlanta. I can live with 6, but anything more than 6 of any type of racetrack is too much. And I say that short tracks are a little bit different because each short track is sort of unique. Like you look at Bristol and you look at Martinsville. Yeah, they're both short tracks, but they're totally different, right? So short tracks, if short tracks are done the right way, you can have more short tracks. Whereas road courses, you can make them as different as you want. It's still going to be like a road course feel. Super speedways, you can make them as different as you want. It's still a super speedway. And 1.5 have been called cookie cutters for years. So it is what it is. Dog leg, no dog leg. Maybe 1.5 miles with no dog leg would be the ticket. But then it would just be a small super speedway. So I don't know. I don't know. Talking myself in circles there. Change up Bristol track back to asphalt pre-1992. I would love to see asphalt Bristol. Get rid of the progressive banking. I agree with that. Make it 26 degrees of banking. The top and bottom groove should be the preferred lane, and it should be 110 grand seating capacity. They're not. I don't think they'll tear out the seats because they use that as a big marketing tool for other things all year round. But they could reduce. They could throw tarps over it. We've seen that done before. If they keep road courses, it should be a true road course, says Philip Canavan. So he's not a fan of street courses. And I don't know, Philip, how do you feel about the Charlotte Roval? I feel like a lot of people like the Roval because you can see the whole track, but are you including Charlotte in that would be my only question. I think I would keep Charlotte because that gives you have 2 races at Charlotte, but they're different races. So I would actually keep the Roval on there. Let's see, Cassandra Keller, Indy needs to go back to an oval. I'll 100% agree with you, Cassandra. Indy needs to go back to an oval as a crown jewel. 100% agree with you, and I don't care how boring the oval race gets. I think it would be better than the road course race, regardless of all the luck they've had with the green, white, yellow, or with the green, white checkers for the road course finishes. They've had good road course finishes, but it is what it is. Dave the Stalker says only 36 likes. I appreciate it, Dave. So if you want to hit that like button, feel free to hit that like button. If you don't, just keep watching. Atlanta should be reconfigured to its pre-1997 layout with 22 degrees and 25 degrees of progressive banking in the corners. And you could also throw in Homestead Miami. Homestead Miami originally was not configured the way it's configured either, and it put on pretty good racing when it first opened as well. Mr. and Mrs. Trickle gave their son a name heard around the world. Dick Trickle, don't get no better than that. Mark Wachowski, don't forget about old Slick Johnson. Slick Johnson was a pretty good one too. And there was a Dick Brooks. They've had a few good ones there. Fireball Roberts, it was, says Rusty Beechwood. Camaro 50, you're correct. It was Fireball Roberts that created that road course. Dale Jr. covered it on Peacock. So there you go. I actually remembered something. Hooray me. What's up with the reconfiguration of Auto Club Speedway to a short track, says Don McLeese? Well, up until last year, they had poor races at Auto Club, and so everybody wanted it to be a short track. And then NASCAR proceeded to ruin the short track package, and now they're going to make it a short track. So that is the Auto Club deal. And I do plan on at some point getting up there to Auto Club and checking that one out. Made some new friends at Phoenix, and I will visit with them when I go up there and check that one out. Dave the Stalker says, I love Richmond. Homestead has a road course as well. Dave, I like Richmond too. I think if they fix the package, people forget those really good finishes at Richmond. Richmond used to be one of the best finishes, one of the best tracks. If they fix the short track package, Richmond will be one of those tracks people remember races from. Just Google Kevin Harvick and Ricky Rudd. They had some absolute battles at Richmond. Philip Canavan, yes, I'm not a fan of the Roval. Okay, so you would take the Roval out as well. I understand that. I think more people actually like the Roval because they can see the whole track. I don't think that they necessarily love the product there, and I think you can see that with the ratings of the Roval. So you might have a point there, but people tend to like it just because they can see the whole track. They've got this mindset that it's going to be awesome, I guess, and then they get there, and even though they can see the whole track, there's not a lot of passing or whatever going on. Saw you were here in Phoenix for the race. How was your experience? Vendors, etc. Charlie Tuna, that's probably the best racetrack I've ever been to. I don't think Phoenix has to worry about losing that last race anytime soon. It is. I said it was in downtown Phoenix on one of these other ones. It is not in downtown Phoenix, but it is really close to downtown Phoenix. It is 21 miles from the center, the dead center of Phoenix. So it is in a major metro area. Like you can literally get a hotel and walk to the racetrack if you were so inclined. I was about a mile and a half. I didn't walk. I drove anyway, but and the traffic wasn't bad. So like you get everything you want to get in a race experience. And the vendors there were really good. West Coast Weenies. I forgot the name of the barbecue place. I had Kilt Lifter, which was from Four Peaks Brewery. I tried as much Phoenix stuff at the racetrack as I could find. I had a great experience, made a lot of great friends there, or met a lot of people that watch the channel. I consider you friends now. I don't know, you might not consider me a friend. It depends on your definition of it. But I met a lot of great people there. Had some great conversations. Didn't get to see everybody. I tried to see as many people as I could. I don't feel like I don't feel like I could announce I'm going to be here and a bunch of people would come up and see me. So I don't want to be sitting on my hands at some spot. So I can't really do a meetup yet because I don't feel like enough people know who the heck I am. But I did try to meet and see as many people as possible. And it was a great experience. I'm actually working on that vlog. I will get that vlog up next week, hopefully, without a doubt. Daytona Roval, I like better than the Charlotte Roval, says Rusty Beechwood. I want Rovals. I want ovals at Charlotte, but would rather have two Daytona. Oh, missed it. Two Daytona for as far as a preference goes for a Roval. I got you. Just smash the like button all the way into Super Speed Weeks next year. I hear you, B-Man. Rusty Beechwood, Indy Road Course. Indy Road, although exciting and better in my opinion than Daytona and Charlotte, but Indy needs the Brickyard. I'm with you on that one, Rusty. I think the Indy Road Course is decent. It puts on a decent race, but there is nothing like the Indy Oval. And watching those cars go on the Indy Oval, and I know it doesn't always put on the most exciting race, but it is an important race. Okay, so the World Series isn't always exciting, but it's important if you're a baseball fan, right? So that's just where I stand on it. It should always be an oval. I don't care which track's better. It should always be the oval. What were the short track look like? Says Dave the Stalker. I have no idea. I don't think they've released a picture of what reconfigured California is going to look like yet. I just think they're starting to work on it. Texas Motor Speedway should move its races to the dirt track. Yes, I'm with you, Aldis. To the dirt track should be reconfigured into a half-mile layout with progressive banking. Well, I think the dirt track, from my understanding of the guys that race there, like I said, John Armendia, 100% says it's big enough to put on a cup race. So I would just do it like that. He says it's a rather big dirt track and one of the biggest ones he's ever raced on. He's doing pavement now, but he has raced dirt in the past. Johnny Crash, if you're out there watching Texas dirt, old Johnny Crash, and his uncle actually raced some stuff too. So Aramendia's good people, good dudes. I've had fun working with them. Reverse Darlington back to pre-1997s, where 1 and 2 are wider, says Sven Larson. I'm with you on that because then Days of Thunder makes sense again, Sven. The Days of Thunder, everybody's like, you can hold it in turn 2 or whatever at Darlington. That only makes sense if you go to pre-1997 because they reversed the track or they reversed the corners, I should say, switched the start-finish line. So I would be with that just so Daytona Days of Thunder makes sense again. Good. I like that, Sven. That was excellent analysis. I appreciate that. Mr. Happy, Lake Speed was interesting. Lake Speed was interesting. So Here's your fun fact about Lake Speed. He beat in go-kart racing Ayrton Senna, and that is probably the most impressive thing about Lake Speed. He never was in a great NASCAR race car. Never was with a great team, but if he had been with a good team, he probably would have put up some great numbers. But Lake Speed was a hell of a race car driver. He is probably one of the most underrated. Would have loved to see him in some better equipments. But he held the bragging rights over Senna, man. He beat him in go-kart racing. So Lake Speed could have been so good if he could have got in the right situation. Aldous says the Richmond Fairgrounds should be reconfigured into a 3 to 5 mile, 18-degree banked bull ring, a 3.5 mile, a 3/5 of a mile, sorry, 18-degree banked bull ring with asphalt sealer and renamed to the Richmond Fairgrounds. Yeah, the Richmond Fairgrounds was awesome. You can watch, just go to Smith TV or wherever you see your old classic NASCAR races. Look up some of those races for sure. They've also got the Nashville Fairgrounds races on there as well if you want to check them out. Let's see here. Trouble is NASCAR fixes tracks that aren't broken. What track that they've reconfigured is better than the track already was? Good point. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of one. A track that NASCAR has fixed that actually worked. Maybe you can make the argument Miami when they added the progressive banking. That's the only track where progressive banking actually worked. But other than Miami, which was a new track anyway, so I don't know that they necessarily fixed anything that was longstanding. Mark Barnum says Miguel's best Mexican food in Phoenix. Next time I go out there, and I do plan on a next time, hopefully, fingers crossed. Best Mexican food in Phoenix, says Mark Barnum, no doubt. Phoenix International Raceway should be configured to its pre-2011 layouts with grass, with the bridge. And gonna have to respectfully disagree with you on that one. If you visited Aldous, you will see that the way they've got it now is good. They just need to fix the short track package. I think if NASCAR fixes the short track package and uses that package at Phoenix, I think the racing would be really good. Let's see. Rusty Beechwood, Miami should be the finale's home once they get done hoeing around, says Rusty. Well, I don't know. If I hadn't been to Phoenix, I might agree with you, but I feel like Phoenix is the best track on the schedule right now, and I will get to that vlog. Maybe I need to get that vlog finished tonight. So maybe I'll work on that and try to get that for first thing Monday. Brickyard or don't have it at all. I agree with you there, Michael Honeychuck. Bring back the Indy Oval, says Cassandra Keller. I agree, Indy Oval only. So Team Oval. I think everybody's Team Oval. What about the Cup Boys getting on the figure 8 track? Mark Wachowski, that's a Tony Stewart dream. He wants maximum excitement. He's always picking at NASCAR. If they want maximum excitement, just put us on a figure 8. Figure 8 with a bridge might be something in the future. You never know with NASCAR. Cassandra Keller says, I love Darlington. I do too. I think Darlington's a great racetrack. Lake Speed is very smart, says Mark Wachowski. I agree. He was one of the best and most underrated to ever do it. He's right up there with Dick Trickle. Dick Trickle doesn't get enough respect either. I know he didn't have a stellar Cup career, but if you look at Dick Trickle's whole career, he was the man. There's no doubt about it. TJ Moorshed says, hell with NASCAR, bring Brazilian Formula truck racing to America. Just kidding. I don't know. I'll have to check that one out. I didn't even know they had that. I know they've got the in Mexico. They've got those weird looking. I don't know if they're even front wheel drive cars, but they look like front wheel drive cars. So I need to check out the Mexican NASCAR series because they've got a weird looking car going on down there. Mark Wachowski says, better gut that deer. You better hurry up and do it, buddy, because that Joker, they don't last long. You got to get the insides out pretty quick. Aldous says, I want Indy Speed Weeks. First Saturday of May, IRP. Mother's Day weekend, Brickyard 400. A week later, Indy Road Course, F1 layout backwards. That could be cool. Like they could make Indianapolis a really big deal. Then you could have sort of like 2 Daytona main events. That would be something to look at. And I think the IRP race would always be the bigger deal as far as race quality goes in that deal. Cassandra Keller says, thank God for our buddy to be here today live so we can get our NASCAR fix. Oh, thank you, Cassandra. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys. This is the whole reason we do the live chat. And really, basically, I guess the reason I ever started the channel. So I have somewhere to talk about, even though for the longest time I was just talking to myself and nobody watched. But yeah, 100%. I appreciate you guys, and we'll talk about NASCAR all year round. The Sundays will be hit and miss, but I will always do the Tuesday live stream. So Tuesday will be an every Tuesday thing, unless unless an emergency or something like that happens. Gloctopus, what's up, man? Hello from Avondale. Yeah, just talking about you a minute ago. Gloctopus is one of the guys I met down there in Phoenix. So yeah, good to meet everybody. Friends for life, Glock. Aldous Carosa says, I will die on this hill that pre-2011 layout in Phoenix International Raceway is better. The current layout is only better because of the restarts. It remains to be seen. We'll have to see if NASCAR can fix the package. If NASCAR can fix the short track package, then we'll have apples to apples, Aldous. But it is what it is. They can still fix the tri-oval or the dog leg or whatever, and the interior, it would still be the best track the way they've got it laid out now. I'll just say it like that. Dick Trickle won over 600 NASCAR sanctioned races, Mark Wachowski says. So look at that. I mean, that is phenomenal. And even like non-NASCAR sanctioned races, he's probably in the thousands, like thousands. Guy was an absolute legend. It's just unfortunate it ended the way it ended. Dig the Ryan Newman. Oh yeah, yep. I've got the hat too, so I'll rock the hat at one point too. Glockopus, sorry, I just read that in my head, didn't say it out loud. I said dig the Ryan Newman Oscar Mayer Wienermobile shirt. Yeah, I was obviously being the bologna burger, I had to support the Oscar Mayer Ford Mustang when that was going on. So we'll go here for about 5 more minutes, then we'll call it a day. You can go watch football, go watch your Nitro Rallycross, Flow TV, whatever they got going on. Heck of a race at Hickory last night. Coleman Presley won the race, and I think he is the spotter for Joey Logano, if I'm not mistaken. But Joey Logano was spotting for Coleman Presley, and Coleman Presley just jumps in the seat and gets a win. So it's been a really good week, a really good couple weeks for Penske there. Coleman Presley basically comes out of retirement and wins a race. So that was really big deal in the short track world. So shout out to Hickory. If you follow Moonhead was in that race too. I can't remember if he was driving a late model or a limited late model, but he was racing there too. So if you follow Moonhead, he does the iRacing deal. He announces some of the iRacing, but he's a race car driver now. So shout out to him, man. Getting in a car, chasing his dreams, and having a good time. A really good looking car too. Driving the number 37. It's a camo looking unit. Good looking car. And Landon Huffman is Landon Huffman YouTube channel, really good YouTube channel. Check him out too. Landon Huffman prepares that car for him. Landon Huffman doing good things, getting a lot of people. I appreciate what he's doing, getting a lot of people from iRacing into an actual race car. So just wanted to give a shout out to all of them. Landon Huffman YouTube channel, check him out. Boo Carlisle actually put Landon Huffman in his car. So Boo Carlisle, Kicking Asphalt, another short track racing YouTube channel. So definitely check them out as well. Just wanted to give them a shout out before I jumped off here. Trying to remember that for sure. Let's see. Tuesday too, thinking I won't have NASCAR withdrawals. Ha ha ha, says Cassandra Keller. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll keep it going on Tuesdays. Dr. Puss said it's so fitting talking about the t-shirt. Yeah, like you got to go Oscar Mayer. And I like Ryan Newman too, former RCR guy, always a hard-nosed racer. Hopefully he can get a few cup starts to give us a cup farewell at some point. Hopefully somebody reaches out. Maybe Keselowski at Roush gives them a farewell. Texas Motor Speedway Dirt should add a pit lane, and Big Hoss should be moved to the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt track as well, says Aldous. That would be cool. I think the Texas Dirt, they need to gain some steam on that one, because then you could have 2 dirt races in a NASCAR Cup season, and that would sort of break up, because you don't want to have too many tracks, is what I was talking about earlier. A few dirt races sprinkled in here and there. At a proper dirt track, especially would help out. Why didn't Cup race at Daytona Road Course this year, says David Stalker? They only did it the one year, the shutdown year. They only did it that year because other tracks weren't opening up, and they had to I don't know. There were something about they switched over cars or weren't going to switch over cars. They only did it the shutdown year for logistical reasons, and they haven't brought it back yet. So it is what it is. It was a good race, though. Ryan Newman wears a Bologna Burger T-shirt, says Mark Wachowski. I wish he probably doesn't even know I exist, but he did great in the SRX race. He's a heck of a race car driver. The NRX is going to be hot today. Check that out. Yeah, man, Glock. I wish I'd known that was. I wish I'd known that was up there. I might have slept in my car an extra week just to check that one out because I do want to go watch one of those races, and all the other ones are pretty far away. So I could have stayed an extra week and checked that one out. Mark Barnum, Presley is a great spotter for Deegan and Xfinity too, says Mark Barnum. So there you go. Yeah, he's awesome. He's a legend at Hickory anyway, but the fact that he just came out of retirement, won a race. To be fair, Connor Hall had a really good car, but Doug Barnes got into him at the end, and then Coleman Presley shot by him. He let the two young guys fight it out, and they basically kind of just got into each other a little too aggressively. And he said, "Thanks for the win, boys," and took her to victory lane. But just really cool that Joey Logano was spotting for him too. Just a super cool deal. So good on Hickory and good on everybody that I mentioned in that one. Bristol was never banked at 36 degrees because according to Ryan Newman, when they did the tire test there at the track before it was reconfigured in 07, Bristol was actually 26 degrees. Yeah, me and Aldis have talked behind the scenes. Like I said, I think they said 36 degrees, sort of just like when you're hyping up a fair or something like that. They just did it to hype it up. Bent Krister Johansson says this spring Euro NASCAR is going to run ice. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I need to check that out. Subscribe to Euro NASCAR and watch it live. I might go to Finland and watch it live myself rather than dirt on Bristol. LOL. That would be awesome, man. If you can get any footage of that, that would be really cool, dude. Load it up to your channel. I'll definitely watch it, but I'm definitely going to subscribe. Even if it's just for 1 month, I'm just going to subscribe for that 1 month to watch that one race. No doubt about it. The NASCAR Euro Series is great, though. So it's a different looking car, but they are Mustangs and Camaros. I'm sure they got Camrys. I just haven't seen one. All the people I follow over there drive either Mustangs or Camaros. I can't remember the girl's name. That's who I follow on Instagram, and that's how I keep up with it. She drives a yellow car. I can't call her name. Her name has escaped my head, but I follow her on that deal. Sorry, got busy. Wanted to say Toronto. I know you must have talked about it. Just my 2 cents. What's with Chastain and his Moose fraternity? It's new to me. I don't know. I think it's an investment deal. Be a Moose, I think, is a type of investment firm, but that's all I know about it. I actually need to start probably. What is that sponsor? That would be a fun segment on some of these. What is that sponsor? I'll investigate with some of these sponsors that I've never heard of, or let me know if you want to see that in the future. That might be a fun thing to do. Also, I could sample some of these, like when you see like a new soda or something, I could sample a new soda. Just try to keep the content fresh and see what's going on with everything NASCAR. They need to do the DRC yearly, says Dave the Stalker. Oh, they need to do DRC yearly. The Daytona Road Course, of course, what he's talking about there. I don't know about yearly, but they could rotate it in somewhere, right? Like they could sort of maybe like the Olympics, where you do it every 4 years or you do it every other year. They could do something like that. That would be interesting, and that would break it up, especially because you've got more super speedways now that Atlanta is basically a super speedway. No one has to miss racing. There is so much on YouTube from the 20s to the present. Great races, 100% true, Mark Wachowski. So basically what I do in the off season is with about 70 or 80 days to go before the season, which is rapidly approaching, about 2 weeks away. I start watching all the old Daytona 500s up until the current one. So basically you always, of course, start with the 70s one where they fought each other. And then work your way up. Mustangs, Camaros, and Yugos, says Mark Wachowski. There you go, Yugo. So I did find out that the Fiat 500L, here's your Yugo fact. You will not go without a Yugo fact on a live stream. The Fiat 500L is made in the same factory that made the Yugo. So there you go. If I can't find a Yugo, we will go with a Fiat. Probably not a 500L because that's too big for a race car. But 500L would fit. Plus the 500L, they don't have as many manual transmissions on those. But I will do a Fiat 500 if I can't find a proper Yugo. Much like the Yugo, the Fiat 500 is known for its mechanical failures and stuff like that. So we would basically be working with the same thing. And the reason I say Fiat is, of course, the Yugo was based on the Fiat 128. So it all lines up. If I can't find a proper Yugo, we will go with a Fiat. I have made the decision. So there you go. 10,000 subscribers. The Yugo project will either be a Yugo if I can find one, or a Fiat 500, or a Fiat 500L if I can find a Fiat 500L with a manual that is cheap. The sponsor miniseries would be sweet. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Galactopus, no doubt about it. I think that would be good. Euro NASCAR on YouTube is free. Oh, I didn't even know they had a YouTube channel. Bent, thank you, man. That is awesome. I didn't know that. I'm going to look. I will immediately subscribe to that today, actually, on my burner account. They show all the races in Europe. I did not know that. That is awesome news. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Bent. And I know I've got a terrible accent, but I'm trying to say your name properly. There's a guy on it's based on Denmark. It's translated as the castle. I can't think of the name of it in Dutch, but there's a guy there named Bent too. So every time I see your name, I think about Bent in that TV show. Live stream, I meant Euro NASCAR. Either way, man, that's awesome. I appreciate it a whole lot there. First sponsor series video. What is Out of the Groove? I do need to do a video on him sponsoring that race car, because he was just so cool to give back to the community like that. Like, he let you put your name on a race car if you wanted to. So that was really cool. Out of the Groove, Key Step YouTube channel, says Cassandra Keller. Yeah, he was joking around because I was talking about I need to do a What Is That Sponsor NASCAR series. So that might be the next deal. I love tandem drafting at the plate tracks, especially during the Gen 5 era, says Aldous. Daytona and Talladega should have a combination of tandem drafting and pack racing without having to crash every time. Yeah, I think once you get to the tandems, you get to fewer wrecks, in my opinion. And Galactopus telling Cassandra was just a joke for sure. All good. You need a Ford Aspire 1.7 liter. Yeah, that's basically the same car. And the Ford Ka is based off of the Fiat 500 as well. So the Ford Ka over wherever you appreciate your Ford Ka, K-A, Ford Ka, if you're from Boston, Ford Ka. Yeah, so there you go. That is the exhaustive Fiat facts. And yeah, I will do a What Is That Sponsor series because I feel like that's gone positively here. So we will do What Is That Sponsor. So yeah, that is where I'm going to end this one. I appreciate all you guys. It was fun as always. So enjoy your Sunday. And yeah, thanks for your time. Peace.